In tonight's headlines, Paralympians bag a gold and a silver in Paris to take Hong Kong's medal tally to 6. Cathay Pacific grounds another 20 flights for tomorrow, bringing the total number of cancellations to 68, which were triggered by engine trouble in its Airbus A350 fleet. And emergency crew pull out a car from the sea, which flew off the Shenzhen Bay Bridge last night, killing a customs officer.
Third-time Paralympian HOYIBC was facing Australian opponent Jamison Lesson in the boccia women's individual BC3 final at the Summer Games in Paris. Ho scored 2 points in each of the first 2 rounds for a 4-0 lead. Though the gap was narrowed in the next 2 ends to a score of 2-4, Ho was finally able to secure her first individual Paralympic gold medal. This was the second gold for Team Hong Kong. Ho celebrated the win with a kiss from her coach and husband Lee Wen-kit. Ho thanked everyone who had helped her and said even with disabilities, the Hong Kong athletes at the Paralympics were demonstrating the city spirit of never give up. Another silver was added by veteran shuttler Daniel Chen, taking Hong Kong's medal tally to 6. The world number 2 came up short against the defending champion Daiki Kajiwara of Japan, losing straight games of 10-21 in the men's single WH2 final. The 39-year-old wheelchair badminton star had won the bronze in Tokyo 3 years ago, and now he bowed out on a high note.
呢3年嚟，我為咗要令到塊獎牌變色，要克服好多，譬如傷患啊。
He admitted he was getting old plus injuries, but he did put a lot of effort and proved that he could overcome the hurdles. Chief Executive John Lee congratulated both Ho and Chen for their outstanding performance. The SAR team has so far bagged 2 gold, 3 silver, and 1 bronze medal. Anna Chan, Cable News.
Hong Kong flag carrier Cathay Pacific Airways has cancelled another 20 flights for tomorrow, taking the total number of cancellations for this week to 68. The airline had grounded 48 flights since yesterday after a problem with some engine components affected its entire Airbus A350 fleet. First reported on a Zurich-bound flight, which returned to Hong Kong after takeoff early Monday morning. Cathay has since completed inspections of all 48 aircraft and found 15 planes had a similar problem and would need fixing. Apologizing for the inconvenience, the airline said the repairs would be expedited quickly and 3 aircraft had already been fixed. It expects all services to resume back to normal by Saturday. British aerospace company Rolls-Royce, which makes the engines for the A350, confirmed that it will provide support and work with Cathay Pacific to resolve the issue. The travel disruption mainly affected short-haul flights to nearby destinations, including Beijing, Shanghai, Taipei, Kuala Lumpur, Manila, and Bangkok. Some passengers were stranded at the airport because of the cancellations. This man said he was informed at the last minute that his flight to Singapore was cancelled, and he had to switch to another airline. But he understood the arrangement due to safety risks. 2 tourists from Japan expressed their dissatisfaction after they were rebooked on a Cathay flight heading back home tomorrow.
A little angry. Why? I can't go to home.
Warren Chim, deputy chairman of the aircraft division of the Hong Kong Institute of Engineers, said the replaced component will be tested following the manufacturer's maintenance procedures and inspected by a licensed aircraft engineer. Cathay was following protocol in accordance with the established process and established procedures, Chim added. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
With the help of frogmen and a barge-mounted crane, the car that fell off the Shenzhen Bay Bridge last night was recovered this afternoon. The white car suffered extensive damage, with its 4 doors twisted, 2 wheels missing. Part of the bridge was still under closure for investigation. Skid marks were visible on the road. There were also scratches on the fence. The fatal accident occurred around 9 p.m. yesterday. A private car with a 46-year-old driver went out of control, ramming into a road sign before bouncing over the barriers and plunging into the water, subsequently submerging. Hours later, the trapped driver was rescued in an unconscious state. He was pronounced dead in the hospital at 1:30 a.m. The deceased was a senior customs officer stationed at the Shenzhen Bay port. He was heading to work at the time. Police said there were no roadworks underway, but some road signs had been placed on the bridge by contractors to comply with relevant laws. The investigation will include assessing the driver's mental state, as well as gauging the vehicle speed and whether it had any mechanical faults. Since there were no surveillance cameras at the scene, the police appealed for witnesses or anyone with information to come forward. Anna Chan, Cable News. Hong Kong held an official ceremony this morning at the City Hall Memorial Garden to commemorate the Victory Day of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression. Chief Executive John Lee and senior government officials, including Vice Chairman of the National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, Leung Chun-ying, former Chief Executive Donald Tsang, and representatives of the central government attended the ceremony, paying tribute to those who lost their lives in the war. Similar events were also held on the mainland to mark the 79th anniversary of the occasion. The People's Liberation Army observed a moment of silence. Soldiers toured the memorial hall to honor the victims of the Nanjing massacre.
As part of the patriotic education, the government plans to promote a new song in local primary and secondary schools for pupils to show their love towards the country. Titled Our Home, the song conveys a message for people to love their country as much as they love their family. The Working Group on Patriotic Education plans to distribute it to schools throughout the SAR through USBs and QR codes.
情繫國家，我們這一個家，和諧共處在同一屋檐下。
Singer-turned-politician Kelly Kwong shared her favorite part of the song. Featuring the emotional lyrics, "Our hearts tied to the country, we are one family, living harmoniously under the same roof."
大家咧，如果 download
Sterry Lee, convener of the Working Group on Patriotic Education, said a karaoke version of the song has been produced for public download. Lee added that Kwon, who is a non-official member of the group, did not receive copyright fees for the song, which was produced and recorded by the Information Services Department and Radio Television Hong Kong. She hoped that different organizations would consider singing the song to express patriotism around National Day, and many schools have already participated in this initiative. The observatory issued the standby signal number 1 at 5:40 p.m. as Typhoon Yagi moved closer to Hong Kong. The weather watchdog said Yagi has intensified and is forecast to move northwest at about 10 kilometers per hour across the northern part of the South China Sea. The strong wind signal number 3 will most likely be issued sometime tomorrow as Yagi moves closer to southern China, approaching Hainan. The weather will remain hot over the next couple days, with some gusty thunderstorms.
At least 11 people, including 5 students, were killed when a school bus rammed into a crowd in front of a junior high school in Shandong province this morning. 13 others were injured in the accident, which occurred near the Foshan Junior High School in Dongping County. Some people were trapped under the bus awaiting rescue, including students and adults. Police said the rental school bus with no passengers inside lost control at a junction and crashed into pedestrians on the roadside around 7:30 a.m. The bus driver has been detained and the incident is under investigation.
Despite a court order to end the national protest, which shut down much of the country's economy, angry Israelis continue to take to the streets to pressure Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu into agreeing a ceasefire deal with Palestinian group Hamas, after Israeli forces found the bodies of 6 hostages who were held captive in the Gaza Strip. After halting traffic on one of the main highways in Tel Aviv, the protest movement was further enforced with calls for a general strike across Israel today, which saw services at Ben Gurion Airport come to a grinding halt. Last night, thousands of protesters gathered outside Netanyahu's private home in central Jerusalem. Scuffles broke out between furious demonstrators and the police, leading to several arrests. Though the weight of the war hung heavier on the Israeli leader, he insisted on his strategy of total victory against Hamas, even if a deal for the hostages has to wait.
I would define the end of the war in Gaza. When Hamas no longer rules Gaza. We throw them out. To do that, you need to have a military victory, and you have to have also the political victory to destroy their governance. We're out to destroy the military capabilities of Hamas and the governing capabilities of Hamas, and we're well on our way to achieving both. That is total victory.
Expressing his disapproval publicly, US President Joe Biden said Netanyahu is not doing enough to finalize a Gaza ceasefire deal. Almost 11 months since the start of the war, roughly 100 hostages are still in Gaza, including 35 believed to be dead. Quentin Yang, Cable News.